If any of you guys out there can think of a trilogy besides this one where the third movie was good and then the other two were crap, let me know because I really can't think of one at the moment. We're going to talk about Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. The third Star Wars film chronologically, the final film in the prequel trilogy, and currently the last Star Wars movie made until December. This movie actually came out 10 years ago yesterday. That's insane. If May 19th were a Wednesday, I would have been reviewing this on the 10-year anniversary, but that's neither here or there. Revenge of the Sith opens up with a giant space battle above Coruscant between the Republic and the Separatists, basically the clones and the droids. Chancellor Palpatine, played by Ian McDiarmid, has been kidnapped by General Grievous, one of the high-ranking generals of the droid army, and is about to make an escape, but Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi come in to basically save the Chancellor. And this time they're doing it not as student and teacher, but as good friends, pretty much, because Anakin is now a Jedi Knight, Obi-Wan is now a Jedi Master on the Council. So they rescue Palpatine. Anakin manages to kill Count Dooku, but General Grievous escapes to the Utapau system in the Outer Rim. Palpatine's intelligence informs him that Grievous is hiding in the Utapau system, or so he says, because we know who Palpatine is. And then Obi-Wan is sent with his clone battalion, the 212th, to Utapau to hopefully catch or kill Grievous and end the war. As this is going on, Anakin is secretly married to Padme Amidala, and after the battle above Coruscant finds out that she's pregnant with a child, or children. And you'd think he'd be happy about this, but instead he starts having these nightmares that Padme is going to die in childbirth. So that, combined with his recent frustrations with the Jedi Council and his closer relationship to Palpatine, leads Anakin on a dark path that not only changes his fate, but the fate of the entire galaxy. When it comes to a film series that starts off with two crappy movies, anyone who has a brain would think, okay, I'm going to stop right here because it's not going to improve. But because Star Wars fans are so diehard, including myself, we gave Revenge of the Sith a shot because, hey, third time could be the charm. And luckily for Revenge of the Sith, it was. This is one of the rare instances where the first two movies in a trilogy are garbage and the third one's actually really good. There are a lot of improvements here. The visual effects are better. The dialogue is not as painful to listen to as it was in the first two movies. The acting is slightly better. Both Natalie Portman and Hayden Christensen are improved here, but have their weaknesses. Both of them still have to utter bad dialogue. Both of them are bland at times, but there are moments where they manage to break away from Lucas's bad direction and give good performances. For Natalie Portman, the scene when she discovers that Anakin has turned to the dark side and has slaughtered Jedi, you can tell that she's really heartbroken, and it's a very emotional moment, and Natalie Portman manages to sell it. As for Hayden Christensen, the big example for him is when Palpatine has revealed himself to be Darth Sidious, the Sith Lord that the Jedi were looking for. He's sitting in the council chambers as Mace Windu and a couple of other masters are going to either arrest or kill Palpatine. And then Anakin looks out the window to where Padme's apartment is. Padme looks out the window to where the Jedi Temple is. Both of them have no idea they're looking at each other, and Hayden Christensen manages to sell it with this feeling of Palpatine knows the way to save Padme's life. I don't want to lose her. What am I going to do? He's the Sith Lord, but I can't live without my wife. He's the Sith Lord, obviously, but I don't want my wife to die in childbirth. It's a very good moment. Ian McGregor is good also, and he really embodies a young Obi-Wan Kenobi. This is the first movie where I officially went, that is Obi-Wan as a young Jedi Master. That is Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I believe it. But the big actor who steals the show is Ian McDiarmid as Chancellor Palpatine, who has been in the other two movies, but he was such a small role in those movies that I didn't really bother mentioning him. Here, he gets his chance to be really creepy, calm, influential, and just outright nuts when it comes to the lightsaber battles. And he's the guy that makes the perfect villain. He was the one who's manipulating the entire war, the whole Republic, and when he is fully revealed to be the Sith Lord, that's when he shines. And this movie continues to do a lot of world building also. In terms of the galaxy, we have new planets, Utapau, which has a lot of interesting creatures, and the fact that these natives live in these sinkholes is pretty creative. Mustafar is just a volcanic planet, nothing too special about that, but it is finally cool to see the homeworld of the Wookiees, Kashyyyk. We saw a glimpse of it in some video games, and like it was a model in the Star Wars Holiday Special. But this was the first movie where we actually got to see a fully realized Kashyyyk. And basically, it's a forest planet inhabited by Wookiees, nothing more to say. But the best bit of galaxy building that Revenge of the Sith does is in the Opera House scene where Palpatine is telling Anakin about this power of the dark side that allows a Sith to bring someone back from the living. But it's not told as, here's something I can do. Rather, it's told through like folklore. He tells Anakin the tragedy of Darth Plagueis. And the way Palpatine tells the story really is like an old legend. But we all know as an audience that he was Darth Plagueis' apprentice, and he killed Darth Plagueis. And so that's something that's really, and I never thought I'd use this word in describing anything in the prequels, brilliant. Now, getting back to some of the emotional moments, one thing that struck me that I didn't think would was Order 66. Once Palpatine commands the clone commanders to execute Order 66, basically the clones are turning on their Jedi, and Jedi are just being slaughtered left and right, which shouldn't be that emotional because we see a lot of Jedi that we never knew get slain, and it's like, well, I never knew this guy, why should I care? But somehow it works, and what really sells it is when Yoda is on Kashyyyk, and he feels this disturbance in the Force. He knows that the Jedi are being killed by their clone troopers, and he looks so helpless. It's really a powerful moment with the music, the way it's presented. It really worked, I think. But then there are some things that don't work. This is obviously not a perfect movie. Some of the dialogue is still pretty bad, like, hold me, Anakin, like you did on Naboo when there was nothing but our love. And it's like, yeah, same crappy dialogue from Attack of the Clones, but at least Natalie Portman is a slightly better actress in this one than she was in the last one. The conversion that Anakin takes to going to the dark side is pretty rushed. I wish there was a little more time to really see a transition rather than going from, what have I done? I just disarmed Master Windu, and suddenly go to, I'll do whatever you say, Chancellor. Just help me save Padme's life. I know there are certain events that would take Anakin to that dark side, but to see the actual transition, it's like, oh, that's it? Oh, that was kinda lame. And then the lightsaber battle at the end of the movie between Anakin and Obi-Wan, it's really well choreographed. I actually cared what was going on, but it's a little too clean, and it goes on for way too long. Like, there's a point where it just could have stopped. And then once you get at the end, it's just like, okay, I gotta catch my breath. But in the end, that lightsaber battle is important, and along with the fight between Yoda and the Emperor, which is a lightsaber fight that I've wanted to see ever since we saw Yoda wield a lightsaber in Attack of the Clones. It is just so cool, even when the Emperor is like throwing Senate platforms at Yoda using Force Lightning. It's a really cool battle. But one battle that's not really that well done is the fight between Obi-Wan and General Grievous. Now, General Grievous is a cool design, I think. He's got a really cool, if cheesy, voice. And you'd think that a lightsaber fight between Obi-Wan and General Grievous, a character who has been trained to wield the lightsabers of the Jedi he's slain during the war, and has 4 arms, you'd think that would be really cool, but it's shot too close up. You can't tell what's going on. And the swings that Ian McGregor does as he's wielding the lightsaber doesn't really quite match the way General Grievous is wielding his 4 lightsabers. And it's just ultimately a mess, I think. But the chase scene between General Grievous and Obi-Wan that results in a fight without lightsabers is pretty cool, I think. Alright, let's talk about the ending, because the ending is something that is really emotionally powerful, but has some bad elements to it. Let's get into it. So, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen Revenge of the Sith, give it a shot, I'd say. But if you have, then let's talk about the ending. So, the end of the lightsaber duel on Mustafar between Obi-Wan and Anakin, it ends with Anakin's other arm and his legs being chopped off as he's on the ground next to the lava bed. And Obi-Wan at that point expresses his feelings towards Anakin, saying how he was the chosen one and meant to bring balance to the Force rather than join the Sith and leave the Force in darkness. And as this is going on, the lava catches Anakin and sets him on fire, and it's really gruesome and kind of heartbreaking. It's more heartbreaking if you watch the Clone Wars series rather than the first two prequels, because that explores the friendship between Obi-Wan and Anakin once Anakin's a Jedi Master. So, with Anakin burning to a crisp, Obi-Wan leaves him to die, takes Padme's ship, and along with C-3PO and R2-D2, heads to the asteroid base of Polis Massa to meet with Senator Bail Organa from Alderaan. This is an attempt to save Padme's life, since she's pregnant and possibly wounded. Meanwhile, in Mustafar, the Emperor arrives and orders the clone troopers to get a medical capsule to put Anakin in and transport him back to Coruscant. So now we have the husband on Coruscant dying, and we have the wife on Polis Massa also dying. What happens is the medical droids do a scan of her and say, she's completely healthy, but for reasons we can't explain, we're losing her. She's lost the will to live, which is, even though I like this movie, that's pretty stupid. And I know there's scientific proof that you can actually die from a broken heart, but I just don't buy it here. So they have to move quickly and get the twins out of her so they can at least live. And then on Coruscant, medical droids are putting on robotic arms on Anakin, giving him robotic legs, and they put him in this suit, and that right there is the birth of the greatest film villain ever, Darth Vader. Then on Polis Massa, Padme gives birth to a boy, Luke, and a girl, Leia, so twins, pretty much. And this happens simultaneously as Vader is born. So basically, that one scene there is emotionally powerful because it's the birth of the original trilogy's protagonist, Luke Skywalker, and the birth of its antagonist, Darth Vader. Then, with her dying breath, Padme tells Obi-Wan that there's still good in Anakin. And then she dies right in front of Obi-Wan, Yoda, 3PO, R2-D2, and the kids. And then Darth Vader rises up from the table as Palpatine says, "Lord Vader, can you hear me?" To which Darth Vader replies, "Yes, Master." And that whole sequence of the birth of Luke and Leia and the birth of Darth Vader should have ended right there. But what happens next? What happens next is that Darth Vader asks the Emperor, "Where's Padme and is she all right?" And the Emperor tells him, "In your anger, you killed her." Which pisses off Darth Vader, so he gets out of the surgery table, walks out like Frankenstein's monster, and lets out a big roaring, "No!" And that ruined it. That whole scene was emotionally powerful, but George Lucas had to put that little thing at the end to take out all emotion. It's like, even though Revenge of the Sith came out first, this is exactly the problem I had with Star Trek Into Darkness, where Kirk is dying in front of Spock. Spock is about to lose his friend, and it's an emotionally powerful scene, which is ruined when Spock shouts out, "Khan!" That just completely ruined any emotion. And I know what happens with that infamous moment in Return of the Jedi, but that's another video for another time. So then after that, Yoda, Organa, and Kenobi decide what to do with the kids. Bail Organa is going to adopt Leia and take her to Alderaan, and Obi-Wan's going to take Luke to Tatooine, and give him to the Lars family, which in Attack of the Clones, Owen Lars was discovered to be Anakin's stepbrother. So the last three sequences of the movie is Vader, Palpatine, and Tarkin looking over the construction of the Death Star, Bail Organa and his wife looking after Leia, and Owen Lars, Beru, and a baby Luke looking out into the sunset of Tatooine. And then the credits roll, and that right there, despite the no, really filled me with a great Star Wars feeling. Like, that felt like Star Wars right there. So, Revenge of the Sith, in the end, it's by no means a perfect movie. It has some great flaws, I gotta say, but it's well made in some aspects. It's better than the other two, and I'd say it's a good movie, but it's not a great movie. If you really gave up on the prequels after Attack of the Clones, I suggest you give this one a shot because it's actually pretty good. And that's my review for Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. I'll be back in December to review the original trilogy, leading up to my review of Star Wars The Force Awakens. But until then, leave a comment and tell me what you thought of this movie, if you've seen it. What did you think? Like, subscribe, and this is the real Mr. Robinson telling you there's only one.